Welcome to 10-Minute Type Advice by Personality Hacker. I'm Joel Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
This show features questions from the Personality Hacker community that we answer in about 10 minutes. We've been using personality types in our coaching for years, and we'd love to answer your questions about personal growth through the lens of type. You can find out more about us at personalityhacker.com. Okay, now let's hear today's question.
I am an ISFJ, and I am wondering how intuition fits into my personality. I got both my BA and MA in English literature, which meant I spent a lot of time reading literature, analyzing it, and then writing about that. And I enjoyed it enough to get my master's in it. And so that process always felt a bit intuitive to me, as it required a lot of pattern recognizing. But since extroverted intuition is in the 3-year-old position of my cognitive function stack, it seems odd that I would, if it is truly an intuitive process for me, that I would enjoy it and be reasonably good at it. So I'm wondering if that, when I do that, if I am accessing that intuitive side, or am I using the other functions in my cognitive function stack, such as maybe extroverted feeling and the introverted thinking, sensing, if I'm using those more when I read literature, analyze it, and write about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Carissa, for the question. Let's talk about intuition. Are sensors able to bring out intuitive things in their lives? That's really what you're saying. When I come into the world, I feel like I've got an intuitive part of me. I'm supposed to be an ISFJ, so I'm supposed to be like super sensor, right? I'm not supposed to have any intuitive expression at all. Joel and Antonia, but I have this intuitive stuff I'm interested in. What's that all about?
Here's the deal with our 3-year-old or inferior function. And by the way, I believe you. I believe that you were using intuition in your analysis of literature.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of ISFJs were super into literature. This is like not uncommon. I do think you're using some extroverted intuition in all of it. I think that the challenge with our inferior function, our 3-year-old or inferior function, is that we have a complex relationship with it that changes from person to person. There's a lot of people who write in or ask questions about how to master this area of their lives. And we almost always say, don't try to master it, right? Don't try to master it. You're not wired for mastery over this. But that doesn't mean that we're not wired to have it as an aspiration, as something that influences us, as something that is an important part of not just our identity, but also in the construction of our lives. And here's the other part of how we understand functions. And this has become something that is really obvious to me, having done specifically profiling sessions over the last decade. It's not really each individual cognitive function that's influencing us. It's the polarity of the cognitive function. This is something that other people might call the cognitive function axis. So we call it polarity because we think it describes the dynamic between these two sides of a function. I would almost call it a single function with two different sides.
Well, it's like a coin with two different sides, like the heads and tails of it.
Exactly. And yours that you're talking about is introverted sensing or memory and extroverted intuition or exploration. This is the cognitive function polarity that you're describing. And you're saying, but I lead with the introverted sensing or memory side, so am I using any of the other side? And the answer is, yeah, you're using it all the time. You can't help yourself. Just like I, as an ENTP, am doing the exact opposite. I'm leading with extroverted intuition or exploration. This is going to be how I identify myself. This is going to be how I really, it's going to inform the things I'm interested in and the things I pursue. And I am going to unconsciously be weaving in a ton of introverted sensing or memory without really understanding or knowing it. Now, if I'm in a situation that requires me to pull on just that side or on that side of the polarity really intensely, like the weight has to be on that side, and I have to show up using it with confidence and certainty and a sense of presence, and that's the tool for the job. For the job, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to really feel insecure in that situation. I'm going to feel a lot of sense of uncertainty. I'm going to feel like I'm not sure if I'm qualified to do this thing. And if I'm asked to use it all the time, the frequency of it is going to lose my attention and interest because I am rewarded for weighing the other side of the polarity with much more dominance, meaning that there are tasks out there that are much more attractive to that polarity where extroverted intuition or exploration is the dominant side, and just and there's like a little bit of comet tail of introverted sensing or memory. And there's going to be some activities that are weighed the opposite direction, that are far more attractive to the introverted sensing or memory side, but will require a little bit of that extroverted intuition or exploration to accommodate it. For example, I enjoy literature. I mean, this is purely anecdotal, but I enjoy literature. But oh my gosh, the idea of having to read a bunch of literature that I may or may not be interested in and study it and comb through it, and just the idea of it sounds torturous to me. Our book publisher, the editor, was an ISFJ, and she's a total sweetheart, and she was wonderful. And I just I couldn't fathom sitting down and reading through somebody else's work to look for all of their mistakes.
Yeah.
That sounded like a nightmare to me. And yet that's a very similar process. You're reading through something, you're analyzing it, you're trying to understand it, you're looking for patterns, right? Looking for mistakes, changes in theme. Whew. And that's the polarity in reverse. So there are ways in which the actions that we're attracted to and the activities we're attracted to pull on that other side just enough. Just enough to maintain the interest of it, just enough to feel like we're stretching into it, just enough to feed it and to make it feel like it's a part of something, but not so much that it's leaning on it to a place where now it's the go-to tool. Like it's the thing that we have to bring, otherwise it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the intuition you were bringing, that extroverted intuition or exploration, was also being done in rumination. Like you're reading, you're taking in the information, and inside of yourself, as you're reviewing the literature, that's when you're expected to make the patterns. It's a very safe environment in which to make patterns. When somebody's leading with extroverted intuition or exploration, like an ENP, we are not looking for safe places to make patterns. We're actually throwing ourselves into what could be called some of the most cavalier and dangerous situations to make patterns. I don't mean dangerous like...
Well, an ISFJ might categorize them as dangerous.
Right, but I don't mean like dangerous like we're like,
Physically.
Yeah, physically dangerous, skydiving or whatever. I just mean like...
Uncomfortable.
Like maybe socially uncomfortable. Like maybe messing with somebody who's your boss or something. Like situations where... Or situations that are very high stakes for problem solving, but require quick problem solving analysis answers and in the spot and with a sense of confidence where other people are now relying on your sense of confidence to go, deploy the thing that you just recommended that they do. That's a situation that I don't think that an ISFJ would really enjoy being in. Putting out those fires, troubleshooting in a high pressure situation. Whereas I think ENPs thrive in that situation.
Yeah.
So I think your analysis is accurate. I think you are using intuition in those moments. I think you're using a form of intuition that's probably very pleasurable for you. I bet it was fun to do. It was in a non-threatening situation, and it didn't have a high stakes. Maybe you were turning in papers that needed to be graded, but the timing wasn't pressured. It wasn't high stakes in the moment. Like you didn't have a time pressure barreling down on you necessarily. Whereas an ENP might do the exact same thing, but wait to the 11th hour to the night before to write the paper just as an incentive, just to give themselves that juice to do it. And that's I think one of the challenges that we really have with understanding that 3-year-old or inferior is all the ways in which it influences us, all the ways that we're actually using it, that we're pulling on it, that we enjoy using it, that it adds a seasoning to our life, that we have access to it without overburdening it as a part of like putting it into too many areas of our lives or having to lean too heavily on it in how we construct our worlds. Because when we do that, then it becomes real obvious that we're using it and we start to resent it. When it has to do a lot of heavy lifting, we resent it. When it's something that beautifies our dominant function, when it's something that can assist and support that dominant function, it's usually the perfect amount And yeah, we're definitely gonna pull on it, because why wouldn't we tap into all of our resources?
Thank you so much for the question. You can ask your own question about personality types or personal growth. Visit personalityhacker.com/questions. We also have programs designed to help you with your personal growth through the lens of personality types. Again, visit personalityhacker.com and find the program that's made just for you. My name is Joel Mark Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
Thank you for listening to 10-Minute Type Advice by Personality Hacker. We'll talk with you on the next episode. If you're focused on personal growth, I think you'll resonate with our core content over at personalityhacker.com. We want to see you understand how your mind is wired so you can generate motivation, improve social skills, find career opportunities, and master excellent decision making. But a quick warning, we are advice and action focused in all of our articles, podcasts, and videos. This means that we attract people who like to be challenged to become excellent, to take action, to put in the work to optimize themselves, not simply just gather more information. If you are committed to personal growth and ready to radically find your inner truth, then come over and be a part of our growing community of like minds at Personality Hacker.